Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations and welcome to another subscriber chart reading for our Patreon members. So I hope you are well, and I'm definitely excited to jump into another astrological experiment and looking at the way that an astrology chart works, and just kind of like inspiring everybody on some level to see how you read a chart from an evolutionary astrology perspective. And also being able to capture the essence of what it means to see the soul in the chart versus just this simple personality description that you can find so often in very mundane astrology. Okay, so here we have a soul that has got Pluto in the first house. We can see here that Pluto is also conjunct the North Node, and the Moon is over there as well. So there's quite a lot of energy that sits in the first house with that combination over there. Karmically speaking, because of the fact that when we're looking at an evolutionary astrology chart, we're looking at it from the lens of EA, and we're trying to understand the context of what is the soul's trajectory here. The lunar nodes and Pluto are a very important aspect. They're right on top of each other. They're in the first house of the astrology chart, and you can see there as well. And you can see, like I said, the moon is very close to that. And it's very interesting because we're looking at the moon's nodes, and now the moon is on its own nodal axis, i.e. that's the north node and the moon is there. So there's a very, very, very strong concentration of the personality, ego identity reflected through the moon, the evolving sense of self that the soul is trying to work with in this lifetime and many lifetimes, North Node, and this deep unconscious evolutionary drive that is essentially, like bringing towards the essence of what this is for the soul in Pluto. So to capture this first house over here is really to see that this is a very deep, intense karmic aspect of the chart that, when highlighted and focused upon, can actually bring quite a lot of sort of deep messages of what it means to be this person in this lifetime. So, and what types of memories are contained within the context of this, right? So the picture I got for this symbolism over here is, and let's just see if it comes up. There we go. That's the nodes. Whoops. There we go. Don't just give your energy away, right? What I found really interesting about this astrology chart was that there was a lot of repeating themes. It was usually in this type of subscriber chart reading, I can have some very distinct key aspects or keywords or pictures that can really amplify the essence of it. But in this chart, notice that there's a lot of trines, right? Those blue angles, harmonious aspects. Not so many squares. If you put in asteroids and stuff like that, there would probably be some squares. But in the context of just these planetary symbols over here, there's not much. The oppositions, yes. So for you, the person that this chart is for, the Pluto, the nodes, the growth, and the challenges in this lifetime all kind of like blended together, in my opinion, like the way that I saw this chart. They're all blended together. So don't just give your energy away, to me, I feel is a very essential part of what this Pluto North Node Moon is really trying to talk about here. So, and it's in Virgo, right? And Virgo is so much about developing clarity through confusion, through chaos, right? There are many different descriptions that you can use for Virgo, but Virgo, in a sense, even if you look at the symbolism, if you pay close attention to what the symbol looks like, it's an M with the tail going inside. It's like a deeply introverted orientation. It's inward, it's clearing out. And of course, the natural square that Virgo has to Gemini in the natural zodiac. Okay, there's no squares over here, so you're not looking at a square, you're looking at the relationship that Virgo has to Gemini in the natural zodiac. They're 90 degrees apart. So Gemini is so much about collection, 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 just collection, lots of collection. And Virgo says, let's sort things out so that when we search for the information that is essential for us in Sagittarius, we can have some direction. So Virgo tries to clear out a lot of clutter. So there's an intense focus here around life direction, like sense of purpose, not destiny, but purpose, like a sense of purpose. Like there's something important here to do with the first house. With Aries, there's always, what are we exploring, right? If we never had Aries in our lives, we would pretty much just be sitting here going, this is a fun day. Generations would pass and tumbleweeds would move across, and we would still just be like, so when we have Aries in our lives, there's like purpose. It's like, what is that over there? Let's explore it. So Aries, this first house with lots of energy, is, I want to discover this. I want to explore this. It's discovering the soul. Pluto, it's discovering the desires. What are these desires? What are these essential stories that are trying to play out here? The North Node is inviting this potential to go, like, develop this consistently and consciously in this lifetime. And the Moon is saying, hey, part of your sense of self-image is intertwined in this process. And when you put the Virgo in process, it says, be discerning, be clear about the direction, be clear about the purpose, observe, get environmental feedback. But out of all of that, don't just give your energy away. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the process of every single behavior being something that's going to be something. You see, because Virgo and Aries, they in conjunct each other. They make a 150-degree angle. So Virgo is very much about slowing down, and Aries is very much about going, going, going. So there's this crisis around excitement. No, let's chill out for a bit. Excitement, and then let's chill out for a bit. And I think that that's what's really important here with the Mars in the 11th house Cancer, with the retrograde. Now, in evolutionary astrology, the Moon is also the ruling planet to the sign of Cancer. So therefore, the Moon is very much connected to the Mars archetype. In fact, the Mars is being deeply conditioned by the Moon in the chart. And you can see here that Mars is retrograde. Mars is retrograde in the chart. So not only do we have Mars, which is the same energy as the first house of discovery, in a retrograde motion, so this energy is very inward, very, very inward. And so part of the discovery cycle in this lifetime for the soul is to inwardly observe himself or herself, to inwardly understand the nature of how direction is being initiated and in which direction that is being initiated through. Now, don't just give your energy away, ties in with the nodes. Okay, ties in with the nodes. Let's have a look at the nodal axis. The South Node sits in the 7th house Pisces, conjunct Venus, and you have the North Node in the 1st house in Virgo. Okay, so we have this 1st house, 7th house dynamic. And so when we look at the 7th house, we look at prior lifetimes that are linked with, what do you do? Who are you, other person? How do I see myself in contrast to other people? What are your needs? How do your needs get met? What is your opinion on this? What is your take on this? Why do you do the things that you do? 7th house stuff, really evolving through the context of other people. So with the North Node, the potential direction, the cultivating sense of self that the North Node represents in an astrology chart for this person is, how do I see myself in contrast to other people? When we add this layering of the Virgo archetype, it says, how do I inwardly observe myself in relation to other people? And it can be a myriad of things, but very much so with the context of this Virgo energy, it's how do I initiate myself? How do I observe myself? How do I interact with others? And how do I make sure that what I'm interacting with and who I'm interacting with is not essentially taking energy from me, or am I allowing energy to be taken from me? So discerning around what type of people I'm interacting with? What type of people around me reflect me in that sense? See, because the fact that the Venus archetype, as in the planetary, the symbol of Venus sitting on the south node, you can know that there are prior memories here, early life memories, in which the soul has identified the needs of others as a way of actually being something through illusion, through other people being dishonest, through other people not being clear with themselves, with being like real with themselves, being deceitful. The archetype of Pisces always reflects lifetimes in which there's been, is it real? Is it not real? Are you clear? Do you know your own path? Do you know your own self? To moments of pure clarity and insight in which there is a projection almost of ultimate meaning. And oh, this is the most amazing relationship ever. This is the most beautiful thing ever. And other people as well projecting onto the soul saying, you are the best person in the world. Or you're doing this, but really it's their own kind of like internalized projections that are being placed on the soul. And how does the soul become clear around other people's projections versus their own? What types of expectations have been placed on the soul that leads them to internalizing that it's their fault? And this is where, if you look at this diagram over here, the picture for the nodes, here's the nodes over here. I chose this picture because it's about being clear around what type of people you want to be around. Who's the people that are right for you versus the ones that are not? How can you know which type of people support you versus are not supporting you? How do you feel comfortable and safe around the correct people? So it's about circling the correct people, the ones that you find resonance with. And the Virgo on the North Node Pluto says, cultivate this at a deep level, at an emotional level. Who you're emotionally bonding with, that either empowers you or that you're emotionally bonding with that are not empowering you in that sense. It's interesting because Chiron, the asteroid Chiron, sits on top of that Venus as well and says there's some woundedness around individuality, and individuality especially linked with how do your needs get met? How do you meet your own needs? How are you hearing your needs being met by the other person? How do other people meet their own needs? How do other people place their needs, their unresolved needs onto you that then leads you into this crisis of, am I doing the right thing? Because Virgo and Pluto over here sits here and says, hey, well, maybe I have guilt around this. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe my choices and actions have led me to do the wrong thing. And now all of a sudden I have this unresolved material, this guilt, this crisis, this consistent sense of imperfection that I need to liberate myself from. Essentially, Chiron in the 6th house in Aquarius, the liberation archetype that's trying to be presented over here. If I go over to the aspect of this astrology chart in terms of the growth cycle, I want to amplify this process of look how much Capricorn's in this chart. Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and they're very closely conjuncted. You know, this is a Saturn-Mercury conjunction. So somewhere in an early life environment, the soul had one or both parents or grandparents or surrounding family members that are linked with the lineage of the soul that have either experienced great success and profound recognition in their work and have been perceived as very mature, very discerning people. And then there's other aspects of the story that shows up and says hypercriticalness, judgmental, repression of creativity. Observe where where Uranus sits in the soul. 12th house Leo, right? Far-term memory, deep psychological memory and far-term trauma that's linked with, was I ever seen? Did I surrender myself for the greater good of others that led me to repress my own identity that now has become this crisis point in which I don't know who I am? And so with the soul having this north node, this moon on top of this over here, trining, as you can see, the trining, the aspect over there, it says it's essential that in this lifetime to grow into maturation, where responsibility for one's own personal destiny is actually part of this growth cycle. So I chose this picture over here that's called "There's a lesson to be learned in every mistake." And I think that with the amount of Virgo that's in the chart, with Capricorn, there's definitely prior lifetimes in which other people's unresolved judgments and criticalness and imperfections have been projected onto you when you've made a mistake, when you've been told that you did something or you broke something or you interacted with something, and really what you were trying to say is, this is not working. You see, because the trine in my case, as I see this, is he has a soul that's trying to like readjust things for sturdiness, for structure, for support, for saying, hey, this is not working. Let's try it a different way. Let's angle it this way. Let's see it this way. Let's observe it this way. Let's try to strengthen it. And unfortunately, part of that process is going, sometimes when I do something and it doesn't work out, the surrounding messages have been, why did you do that? What was wrong with you? And there can be an internalized sense of guilt from family dynamics, whether it be from mom and dad, whether it be from uncles, and so on and so forth. So the tension around resolving the shadow of Capricorn here and the shadow of Virgo is, hey, we make mistakes, but that's the point. The point is we are here to make mistakes because it means we're trying. So let's try. Let's try to do things. Let's encourage ourselves to be human in our imperfections and to allow ourselves to have empathy and compassion for our own humanness, which is that we are not computer programs. The brain is not developed in a way that it cannot make mistakes. We unfortunately do make mistakes, and that's what it means to be organic in that way, you know? So the growth in this lifetime is to heal that internalized patterning that says, I'm not good enough, or could I try, or fearful. With Mars sitting in Cancer over there in the 11th house, it also invites this internalized thinking of, did you ever consider yourself? Have you ever considered yourself? So very intense sort of dichotomy of there with regards to those symbols. What do I see as the growth pattern in this chart is really interesting. Look, Mars retrograde in Cancer, Neptune in Scorpio, and Venus South Node in Pisces. Now this is a water symbolism, right? Water trine, and it's in the 11th house, 3rd house, and 7th house. So this is also the masculine essence of it. So you've got this feminine principle, which is these water signs, and then you have the masculine energy of air, 11th, 3, and 7, which is all about individuality and emotional connection. So when I saw that over there, I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool sort of gift that the soul carries, but must be worked through in this lifetime, I feel. And this is that I feel like this picture captures the essence of this. You're a leader. You're somebody that's here to take charge and nurture and cultivate young minds that are looking to higher meaning, higher purpose, that are not simply just caught in the mundane of everything and seeing ourselves as the nitty gritty of existence, but actually aspiring to be something deeper, something more aspirational. And I feel that with the Neptune in the chart that's so strongly placed, especially in the 3rd house, I see with all the Capricorn in the 5th house, I see with the trine that's in this Neptune over here, it's inviting us to observe the wonder of what it means to be human. What are we here for? What is the experience for? And to inspire and to cultivate young open-mindedness into curiosity, to inclusion, to embrace, but more so to heal the inner child that has always wanted to look up and go, that is my dream, and this is how I'm going to achieve it. And to heal that Uranus that sits in the 12th house over there with regards to Leo that says, prior lifetimes of never having a sense of self that could truly go, I'm in charge of my life. Cool. So thank you very much to you that allowed us to share not only your astrology charts, but also average read. I really hope that this was something that was empowering to you, although on some level, I suspect there was some sort of triggers in terms of memories. This is what EA does for us. It kind of opens us up to really heal us on a deep level. So thank you very much for that. And I really hope that the rest of you enjoyed this video and brought you into a deeper understanding of this. If you'd like to have your own astrology chart read, or you'd like to book a session with myself, just go check in the comments below and the links below, or should I say in the description below, loads of links to let you know what I'm doing, etc. And come over, check what we're doing on Patreon as well. All right. Okay, my friends, thanks very much for watching this video, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye-bye.